In the vast ocean, beneath miles of crushing black water, there exists a creature so terrifying, so impossibly strange, that for centuries humanity refused to believe it was real. The giant squid, a phantom of the deep that can grow longer than a school bus. This is no ordinary sea creature. It is a living nightmare. A beast with eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest in the entire animal kingdom, evolved to detect the faintest shimmer of light in a world of absolute darkness. It possesses a beak strong enough to slice through bone, hidden at the center of 8 writhing arms and 2 enormous hunting tentacles. Sailors once called it the Kraken. Scientists once called it a myth, but the giant squid is very real, and nothing about it makes sense. You stand on the edge of understanding a creature that has haunted the human imagination for thousands of years. A being that lives and dies in a world we have barely begun to explore. A world where sunlight never reaches, and pressure alone would crush a human body like paper. For most of human history, this creature existed only in whispered legends and the terrified accounts of sailors who swore they saw monstrous arms rising from the deep. Ancient Norse mythology described a beast so large it was mistaken for an island. Fishermen in the North Atlantic told stories of tentacles wrapping around ships, pulling men screaming into the freezing water below. Japanese folklore spoke of enormous sea creatures lurking beneath the waves, waiting in silence. Greek and Roman writers described sea monsters with arms that could drag entire vessels beneath the surface. These stories were dismissed as fantasy, the hallucinations of superstitious men lost at sea. But in 1857, Danish zoologist Japetus Steenstrup examined a giant squid beak recovered from a beach in Denmark and formally described the species Architeuthis dux. For the first time, science acknowledged the monster, and yet the creature refused to be studied. For over 150 years after that classification, no human being had ever observed a living giant squid in its natural habitat. Not once. Every specimen recovered was either dead, dying, or washed ashore in a state of decay. Entire expeditions were launched and returned empty-handed. Submersibles descended into the blackness and found nothing. The ocean guarded its secret with a jealous ferocity, and the giant squid remained a ghost, a creature that science knew existed but could never actually find alive. Then, in 2004, Japanese researchers Tsunemi Kubodera and Kyoichi Mori achieved the impossible. Using a baited camera system lowered into the deep waters south of Tokyo, they captured the first ever photographs of a living giant squid in the wild. The images showed a massive creature attacking the bait with violent precision, its tentacles coiling and grasping with terrifying strength. One of the tentacles was actually torn off during the encounter and continued to move, to grip, to react for hours after being severed from the body. A disembodied limb still hunting, still grasping at life even after being ripped away from the creature it belonged to. And in 2012, the first video footage was finally captured during an expedition in the Pacific Ocean, led by a team that included marine biologist Edith Widder. The footage revealed a shimmering silver and gold creature gliding through the blackness at a depth of over 2,000 feet, its enormous eyes gleaming in the submersible's light. Widder had used a device called an electronic jellyfish, a small machine that mimicked the bioluminescent distress signals of a deep-sea jellyfish to lure the squid into view. The creature approached cautiously at first, then surged forward with a speed that stunned the entire research team. After centuries of myth and decades of failed expeditions, the giant squid had finally allowed itself to be seen. But what we found only deepened the mystery. The giant squid's body is a masterclass in alien engineering. Reaching lengths of up to 43 feet and possibly longer, it is one of the largest invertebrates ever to exist on this planet. Its body is built around a structure called a gladius, a thin, flexible internal shell made of chitin that gives the squid its torpedo shape and provides structural support without the weight of bone. Unlike fish, which use swim bladders to control buoyancy, the giant squid relies on ammonium chloride, a chemical compound lighter than seawater, stored throughout its tissues and muscles. This solution allows it to hover effortlessly in the water column without expending energy, drifting through the deep like a silent, weightless predator. But there is a cost. The ammonium makes its flesh taste terrible, a foul, almost chemical bitterness that renders it practically inedible to humans. It is as if the creature evolved specifically to be left alone, to exist without interference from the surface world above. And unlike most marine creatures that rely on water temperature to regulate their body functions, the giant squid thrives across a stunning range of ocean environments, from near-freezing polar waters to the warmer currents of tropical seas. It has been found in every ocean on Earth, and yet we know almost nothing about how it actually lives. But the most disturbing feature of the giant squid is its eyes. At nearly 11 inches in diameter, they are the largest eyes of any known animal, living or extinct. To put that in perspective, a giant squid's eye is roughly the size of a basketball. A human eye, by comparison, is about 1 inch across. These monstrous organs are not designed for the world we know. They are built for absolute darkness, calibrated to detect the faintest bioluminescent flickers and the subtle glow of disturbed plankton in the abyssal deep. Researchers from Duke University have theorized that these eyes evolved not just to find prey, but to detect the one predator capable of hunting them, the sperm whale. In the pitch-black depths, a charging sperm whale would disturb bioluminescent organisms in its path, creating a faint cascade of ghostly light. The giant squid's enormous eyes can detect this approaching glow from over 390 feet away, giving it precious seconds to flee into the darkness. These eyes are an evolutionary arms race frozen in biological form, a living warning system tuned specifically to the approach of death itself. No other animal on Earth has needed eyes this large. The giant squid does, because in the deep, seeing first means the difference between survival and annihilation. And unlike many deep-sea creatures whose eyes have shrunk or disappeared entirely over millennia, the giant squid doubled down on vision, investing enormous biological resources into building the most powerful eyes the animal kingdom has ever produced. And then there is the beak. Nestled at the convergence of its arms, the giant squid possesses a beak made of chitin so hard it rivals the toughness of industrial polymers. This beak is one of the hardest organic materials known to science, a structure that transitions from a rigid, darkened tip to a flexible, softer base where it meets the surrounding tissue. Scientists have studied this gradient for years, trying to understand how such a hard material can attach to soft flesh without tearing it apart. The implications extend beyond biology. Engineers have looked to the giant squid's beak as a model for designing prosthetics and robotic joints that need to bridge hard and soft materials seamlessly. The beak can slice through the flesh of deep-sea fish with surgical precision, tearing prey apart before passing the shredded pieces over a tongue covered in tiny teeth called a radula. Imagine a tongue lined with rows of microscopic fangs, grinding food into a pulp before it enters a digestive system so bizarre that the esophagus passes directly through the center of the brain. If the squid swallows something too large, it risks brain damage. Every single meal is a calculated risk. Every bite a negotiation between hunger and self-destruction. No engineer would design a system like this, and yet it has worked for millions of years. The giant squid's hunting strategy relies on its 2 extraordinary feeding tentacles. While its 8 shorter arms hold and manipulate prey, the 2 elongated tentacles can shoot outward at astonishing speed to snatch victims from the darkness. These tentacles are lined with hundreds of suckers, each one ringed with sharp, serrated teeth made of chitin. These toothed suckers can latch onto flesh with such force that they leave permanent circular scars on the skin of sperm whales, scars that have been documented and measured by marine biologists for decades. When scientists examine sperm whales, they frequently find these haunting rings carved into the whale's body, evidence of battles waged in the lightless deep that no human has ever witnessed. Some of these scars are enormous, suggesting encounters with squid of truly staggering proportions, animals far larger than any specimen that has ever been recovered or studied. The tentacles can stretch to extraordinary lengths, giving the squid a strike range that makes it an ambush predator of terrifying efficiency. In the darkness, the prey never sees it coming. There is only the sudden, violent grip of those toothed suckers, the constriction of the arms, the pull toward that crushing beak, and then nothing. But the giant squid is not just a mindless hunter. Its nervous system reveals a complexity that challenges our understanding of invertebrate intelligence. With the largest brain of any known invertebrate, the giant squid possesses neural sophistication that researchers are only beginning to comprehend. Its optic lobes are enormous, dedicated to processing the staggering amount of visual information gathered by those basketball-sized eyes. The brain itself is wrapped around the esophagus, a design so alien that it seems almost intentionally hostile to its own survival. Recent genetic studies have revealed that the giant squid's genome is remarkably complex, containing an estimated 2.7 billion base pairs, not far from the human genome's 3.2 billion. Researchers were stunned to discover that gene diversity across global populations was surprisingly high. Yet all giant squid across every ocean may belong to a single, interconnected species. This means a giant squid in the frigid waters of the North Atlantic and one lurking in the South Pacific may be far more closely related than anyone expected, as if the species operates as one vast, scattered population, connected invisibly by the deep ocean currents that circle the planet. How this genetic connectivity is maintained across thousands of miles of open ocean remains one of the great unanswered questions in marine biology. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the giant squid's biology is its growth rate. Studies of statoliths, tiny calcium structures in the squid's balance organs that form growth rings similar to the rings of a tree, suggest that giant squid may reach their massive size in as little as 5 years. Some researchers believe they could grow even faster than that. This means a creature that stretches over 40 feet long achieves its full, terrifying size in a fraction of the time it takes a human child to finish primary school. The metabolic engine required to sustain this explosive growth is staggering. The giant squid must consume enormous quantities of food constantly, feeding on deep-sea fish, smaller squid, and possibly even other giant squid. Cannibalism has been well documented in many squid species, and stomach content analysis of recovered giant squid specimens has revealed the unmistakable remains of other Architeuthis. In the deep, where food is scarce and the competition for survival is relentless, the giant squid does not discriminate. It eats whatever it can catch. It eats its own kind without hesitation. This relentless appetite, combined with its explosive growth, makes the giant squid one of the most voracious predators in the deep ocean, a creature that must kill constantly just to sustain its own existence. And then comes the act that defines and destroys the giant squid in equal measure: reproduction. Like many cephalopods, the giant squid is semelparous, meaning it reproduces only once before dying. Males use a specialized arm called a hectocotylus to transfer packets of sperm, called spermatophores, to the female. But the process is far stranger and more violent than it sounds. Spermatophores have been found embedded deep in the tissue of female giant squid, sometimes in their arms, sometimes buried in their body wall, as if injected by force. In some recovered specimens, spermatophores have even been found embedded in the flesh of other males, suggesting that, in the darkness of the deep, identification is difficult, and mating attempts are indiscriminate and chaotic. The exact mechanics of how mating occurs remains almost entirely unknown. A private act performed in total darkness thousands of feet below the surface. What we do know is that once the female lays her eggs, potentially millions of them suspended in a massive gelatinous mass that drifts through the water column, her body begins to shut down. Like the octopus, the giant squid's reproductive cycle is a death sentence written into its DNA. The act of creating life is the final act of living. There is no second chance. There is no recovery. The creature pours everything it has into a single generation, and then it is gone. The giant squid's only true predator is the sperm whale, a creature that dives to extraordinary depths specifically to hunt them. The battles between these two titans of the deep are the stuff of legend, and the evidence is written on the bodies of the whales themselves. Sperm whales have been found with sucker scars stretching over a foot in diameter, suggesting encounters with squid of truly monstrous proportions. Specimens that may dwarf anything we have ever recovered or even imagined. The whales use echolocation to find their prey in the darkness, emitting clicks so powerful they are the loudest sounds produced by any animal on the planet. Some researchers believe these clicks can actually stun or disorient prey at close range. But the giant squid does not go quietly into the jaws of the whale. It fights back with every tentacle, every toothed sucker, every ounce of its desperate, fleeting life. These battles are among the most violent and least understood encounters in the natural world, fought far beyond the reach of sunlight, far beyond the reach of any camera, far beyond the reach of human observation. We know they happen only because the whales surface, bearing the scars of war, silent testimony to a conflict we will likely never see. Even in death, the giant squid defies understanding. When specimens wash ashore, they deteriorate rapidly. Their ammonium-rich tissues break down with alarming speed, making preservation and study extraordinarily difficult. The creature's body begins to fall apart almost immediately, as if it was never meant to exist outside the crushing pressure of the deep. Much of what we know about the giant squid has been pieced together from fragments. A beak found in a whale's stomach, a tentacle snagged by a deep-sea fishing trawler, a decaying body discovered on a remote beach by a startled beachgoer. For every specimen that has been studied, there are countless others that sank back into the abyss, lost forever. The creature resists study even after death, guarding the secrets of the deep with the same ferocity it shows in life. What the giant squid ultimately reveals is how little we understand about our own planet. The deep ocean, covering more than 60% of the Earth's surface, remains less explored than the surface of Mars. We have sent robots to other worlds and mapped distant galaxies, yet the largest habitat on our own planet remains a mystery. Somewhere in that darkness, right now, the giant squid is hunting, mating, fighting, and dying in a world we have barely glimpsed. Its enormous eyes stare into a void we cannot fathom, watching for threats we cannot imagine. It grows to monstrous proportions in a handful of years, devours its own kind without mercy, battles the largest predators on the planet in total blackness, and then dies after a single act of creation. Nothing about it conforms to what we expect from life. Nothing about it is ordinary. Nothing about the giant squid makes sense. And perhaps that is the most terrifying thing of all, that in the deepest, darkest corners of our own world, there are creatures living by rules we have not yet learned, in a world we may never fully understand. If this video made you see the ocean differently, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to keep exploring the strangest and most extraordinary creatures our planet has to offer. The deep still holds countless secrets, and we have barely scratched the surface. If you want to dive even deeper into the mysteries of the ocean, check out the video on screen now. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.